All right, Jeremy, you're all good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Coach Jeremy, and I am the virtual coach that you guys might see online over at SRA Wellness with Mr. Trevor. And thank you for coming in. That's the first and foremost, right? Is thank you for spending some time with us and really just kind of learning more about stress management and self care. So hopefully we can see the presentation over here, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. Before we do get started, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat, or if you do want to come off mute, that is totally fine as well. You can also save the questions for afterwards. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So here's our mindset webinar series: stress management and self-care. Those two things go hand in hand. So let's talk about our objectives. What do we want to understand from this, right? So some of our goals that we have here is we want you to know and identify stress. How can we figure out what it is, and how can we, see what those symptoms are before they start to get a little bit worse? We want you to understand the physiological process that the body goes through when perceiving stress, right? So understanding what your body goes through as you start to feel different stressors in life, right? There's different ways that it'll show itself. And then lastly, we want you to know how to deal with it efficiently, right? How can we deal with stress in better ways than we have before? Because although we might feel like we are able to deal with stress in a certain way, there are always ways to do something maybe a little bit better or, again, more efficiently. By the way, if you guys see me looking, I got a dual screen action thing going on. So just going back and forth between both screens. All right, the next one right here, we're going to go ahead and talk about the three versions of stress that you may experience. All right, so with stress, there is different types, right? We have good stress. We call that eustress. But when we do get stressed out, we release a chemical known as cortisol. Now, cortisol is mostly detrimental for us if it stays in our body and it is not able to be taken care of, so to say. But with eustress, typically our cortisol levels will go down quicker, right? So in a good stress environment, remember, we don't have to really worry about so much about trying to calm ourselves down. We have distress, which is the opposite, right? That is bad stress. That's where we like to say that the alarm does not turn off, or you're under constant stress that can lead to anxiety, depression, headaches, heart disease, weight gain, trouble sleeping. Again, there's a big list. We'll talk about those in just a bit. And that distress can turn into chronic stress over time, right? Which can lead to reduced levels of serotonin, dopamine, those good happy chemicals, and other types of things that we may see lead that essentially come from systemic inflammation, right? Inflammation throughout the entire body. So what causes it, right? What are some of the main things that we see from stress here? So lack of sleep, that's huge. And if you've ever talked to me, I am a big supporter of sleep. Financial troubles can have a stressful impact on yourself. High caffeine intake, as I'm sitting here with my massive venti coffee, but I make sure that's my only coffee of the day. Body dysmorphia, poor body image, right? Social media, that's huge. How many of us spend a lot of time on our cell phones, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the platform is, but that can have a negative toll on the way that our body perceives different things and the way we perceive different things. Relationship or work issues, there can be work trauma. And then poor quality food. As much as we don't think that doesn't have a huge effect on us, the amount or the type of food that we ingest really can play a part in the way that we deal with stress. Obviously, health is wealth, right? So we want to make sure that we're trying to eat as best as possible. All right, coming into our next one, burnout. All right, you can raise your hand if you'd like. I won't see you, but if you've experienced burnout, right? And it's okay if we've all experienced that. It's kind of a natural thing, right? But it's a physiological or psychological problem from prolonged chronic job stress. I've definitely been I've been a culprit of burnout. And fun fact: 45 to 50% of associates experience burnout in high stress job environments. Now, to me, the one thing I want to take away from that is like, what is a high stress job environment? And I think that could be anywhere, right? That could be essentially how you perceive your environment. It may seem lax to some, but for others, it might be high stress. And so I don't think there's any rules or regulations to what you would consider a high stress job environment. All right, moving on to the next slide here. Signs and symptoms. So, okay, how is it going to show itself, right? Anxiety, we mentioned that earlier. Back pain. Now, back pain is a funny one because it's an actual physical response, but it makes sense, right? Constant stress, you don't give yourself a chance to recover. and therefore you're kind of stuck, feeling and dealing with the previous day's work essentially, right? Depression, fatigue, trouble sleeping. Again, I've been a culprit of that. Headaches, shortness of breath, weight gain or loss. So it might not come in all of these forms and facets, right? You might experience one or two of these things, multiple of them. But again, these are things that we should definitely be looking for. And if we do start to see them, okay, let's try to think about how we can deal with them. Moving on to the next slide here. The physiology of stress. So any type of stress can be good or bad, as we mentioned before. Remember, eustress, distress, right? And that will lead to increased cortisol levels, right? So remember, cortisol is that stress hormone that does get released. Now, remember, there's a good side to cortisol, right? If it's regulated, it's probably in a good stress environment, but it helps with regulation of your blood sugar, right? Important. Helps with regulating of metabolism, which actually goes hand in hand, and they play a part with the blood sugar. Reducing inflammation. Remember, we talked about systemic inflammation throughout the entire body, right? So cortisol does help reduce the inflammation as long as the cortisol is not there for a prolonged period of time. And then memory formulation, right? Being able to create and sustain memories. Cortisol can help with that, but again, it can be detrimental to our health if we are overexposed to it. All right, so let's talk about more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff, right? This is my favorite stuff. So we're going to go through our happy chemicals here, and we're going to go ahead and start with our dopamine. All right, so what is dopamine? Remember, it's our reward center, right, of the brain, and that's the chemical that gets released. How can we access this? So I've mentioned meditating, listening to music, getting some sunlight, but other ways that you can do this are completing a task, mindfulness, listening to music, as I mentioned earlier, or performing self-care. Um, it Another way we can do this, we mentioned this before, but boxed breathing is a method of meditation and a breathing format that we have actually posted about on our previous social media platforms. And that in itself, as a good example, it works by distracting your mind as you count to 4, calming your nervous system and decreasing the stress in your body. So great way to release dopamine. Oxytocin, all right, our love chemical. This one's fun, and we're going to try and see if we can get a little participation for this one. So let's talk about what it is, right? Oxytocin is our love chemical, but how do we access it? Other ways besides giving a hug, spending time with loved ones, or acts of service would be playing with a pet, my personal favorite. I've got 2 of them running around here. So anytime I'm feeling a little stressed out, I just go to them. Give someone a hug. Give your pet a hug. Why not? Some gratitude, spend some time with friends and family. Again, like I said, acts of service. So here is the play along part. If you guys want to participate, we're going to give you just a quick 10 seconds. If you want to participate, drop in the chat one thing you are grateful for right now. If you want to participate, I would just love to see what some of your answers are. So again, you can just type those in right here. You could save it for the very end. It's really up to you, but I think it'd be nice if we just see, hey, what's one thing that we're grateful for right here, right now? I'm going to say I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak to you about this topic. It's kind of crazy. I didn't think I'd be able to do this in my life, so this is fun. Moving on. Let's go to serotonin. Serotonin, let's see here. Hold on, I want to see some of these responses. Okay, we got Bosco. I like that. Good health. Yes. Opportunity to see family. Absolutely. That's huge. I never get to see my family a whole lot. So the holidays are great. Shelby, chocolate. Who doesn't love chocolate? I'm also grateful for my coffee right here. Thank you so much, everybody. This is awesome. If you want to keep popping those in, that's great. I love them all. So good. So good. All right. So moving on to serotonin. This is our mood stabilizer. So ways that we can access the serotonin and release the serotonin into our body. Exercise. Hello, come hang out with us a little bit more, right? Bright light, always good to try and absorb as much sun as you can. Certain foods containing tryptophan. Hey, speaking of tryptophan, we know that Thanksgiving is right around the corner. What has that? That wonderful bird that's sitting on the table if you do actually eat that stuff. And gut-friendly foods. One example right off the top of my head would be like a yogurt, kombucha. You can also do like fruits and vegetables that are awesome for the gut as well. So why should we incorporate movement in our day? Let's just go ahead and just harp on that really fast, because remember, exercise is one way to access serotonin. But why should we incorporate it, right? It helps reduce the risk of cognitive decline. And these are all things that helps with dealing with stress, right? Increased productivity and performance, improved mental well-being. And then last one here, better mood. right? I noticed that if I can do these things, exercise more, get out in the sun, I'd probably have a better mood to deal with the rest of my day. The exercise one is key. I know that if I get a good exercise in, I'm going to feel better. And then lastly, we have your endorphins. We like to call this the painkiller chemical, right? So let's talk about, oh, there we go, coffee. I was finally waiting for somebody to mention coffee in the chat. But anyways, back to endorphins. How do we access this, right? How do we get the endorphins to circulate through our body? Exercise again, laughter. Somebody mentioned chocolate. Perfect. Have some dark chocolate. Release those endorphins. Scents, smelling things, vanilla, lavender. And, I mean, everybody's going to find their way to incorporate their own laughter. I somehow still surprise myself and find a way to laugh at myself all the time. But those are good things, right? Those are going to help you deal with that stress and that little bit of self-love. Stephanie is a fan of lavender. I actually am currently on a Dr. Bronner's lavender phase myself, so I am with you, Steph. All right, here we go. Let's move on to our next slide here. Methods for dealing with stress and self-care, right? So how can we attack this thing? What are the best ways to focus on decreasing cortisol levels after a stressful event? Remember, because that's the key, right? Is we're going to experience stress, but how can we deal with it after we experience it, and how quickly can we reduce those levels of cortisol so they don't act as a bad thing to our body, right? So right away, let's go back to our happy chemicals. Let's focus on what we can control. Let's complete a small task, right? Do something for yourself. Make yourself laugh, as we just mentioned. Listen to your favorite song. I'm a musician. I love music. So anytime I'm feeling down, I'll either pick a song that makes me super happy or pick a song that maybe fits my mood. But either way, listening to that song is probably helping me deal with the stress, no matter if it matches the mood or it doesn't. And then seek help, right? There is no shame in going out and seeking outside help. Absolutely not. All right, so some tips and tricks here that we got for you. So we mentioned sleep, right? And I mentioned I'm a huge proponent of sleep. I've dealt with a lot of insomnia type of things with sleep, so I've definitely researched on my own. But using a soothing alarm has been one of the key things that has helped me start my day better. Who has ever experienced that crazy bell old school alarm, right? That you got to set manually and it's really loud, right? That thing wakes you up and automatically you're stressed. You're like, I got to wake up. What do I got to do? Oh my God, I got to go to work. There's a lot of things that we don't really think that are stressful, but again, that's how we start our day. So great function on the iPhone. I'm sure it's on other phones, but you can set a soothing alarm, right? Slowly creeps in. You're like, it's not going to wake me up, right? That's okay. Set a couple of them. But again, that might be a great way to start your day in a less stressful type of mindset. Performing guided meditation to start your day. Remember, you can find plenty of guided meditations online, but also going through that box breathing that we had mentioned earlier. That's a great way, and you're almost like you're guiding yourself through that meditation and that breathing. Hydrating before you take in caffeine. Oh boy, that is huge. And I'm sure a bunch of you are like, oh, you're supposed to drink water before you drink coffee? Talking about myself. Just kidding. But here's a pro tip. If you want to hydrate yourself a little bit better, sounds a little bit crazy, but take a small pinch, very tiny pinch of sea salt. Drop it into your first bottle or cup of water. You're not going to taste it, but it's going to help hydrate the tissues in your body and also absorb that water a little bit better, therefore putting you with that good first step in regards to your hydration, and then load up on that coffee afterwards. Eat something healthy, right? Make sure you have a bowl of broccoli right when you wake up. Just kidding. But eating something healthy is a great way, no matter what time of day it is, to help with that stress, right? And a lot of people will they're like, oh, I love eating when I'm stressed out. And they're like, I eat all the bad stuff. Just make sure you throw in something good in there and you'll probably end up feeling better either way. Getting some sun, vitamin D, huge, huge, huge. Cannot stress that enough. Your body loves it. It craves it. Go get some sun every day. And then taking stretch or movement breaks periodically. I don't know how many of you have a standing desk or a stand to sit, but that's a great way to make sure that you're just getting out of your chair for a little bit, push that thing on high, get to that standing position, move the legs, and stay out of the static positions for too long. Because again, not only will it make your body feel better, but it might help your mind. Okay, so what do we have to offer you here at SRA, right? Let's talk about some on-site stuff. So going to the SRI Fitness Center, make sure you visit my man Trevor, awesome guy at the second floor of the 645 building. You can sign up for a free membership on MBO. And remember, we've got everything in there, all the bells and whistles, all the good stuff. If you want to get crazy and join Blake for a workout, you should definitely ask him because I know he's in there putting in some work as well. Attend our group exercise classes. So we have a huge schedule of classes. As an example, we have yoga with Rini on Tuesdays at 11:15 a.m. and Thursdays at 11:45. Um, Remember, we also have like a HIIT class, metabolic. We have online as well. That's with me. We're doing a metabolic and a HIIT class. Might even think about doing a boot camp. But again, we have different versions of classes. Come try them out. And again, offerings on site and online. Thank you, Trevor. He just dropped the membership link right there in the chat. So if you guys are like, I want a membership, bam, there it is. Make use of the wellness rooms on campus, right? I have not been on campus a whole lot, but I do know that there are wellness rooms. And if you need to take a breather, remember just kind of getting away from the outside noise. It's a great way to kind of relieve that stress. And then take advantage of the healthy options in the SRI Cafe with your daily free lunch, entree, and drink. Hello, every time I'm on campus, this is my favorite part of the day. Trevor will tell you that I am just so excited to get to the cafeteria because I love the options that they have for all of us, right? Now, there are some things in there that you're like, I don't know if I should eat that. But again, you got the salad bar right there staring at you. Now, I'm telling you to go eat a salad all the time, but again, the options are there, right? We have the availability, which is something that I don't want us to take for granted. Remember, there's a lot of people out there that don't have that availability of a fresh, healthy meal. So those are on-site kind of things. Remember, we have some other offerings. You can register. Full-time employees can participate in our monthly wellness programs. I believe we just finished our activity challenge. And we always have something going on, always a way to earn ShareCare points. I love that. I love that the ShareCare points is a program for all of you. It gives a little bit of incentive. Don't forget to join us on the Slack channel. If you're not on there, you are missing out. It's a lot of fun. Shout out to all my Slack folks that are always hanging out with me on Wellbeing Wednesday, and I love it. Thank you guys for always participating. Follow the SRA Wellness Instagram account right there at SRA_wellness. I'm the person that's mainly behind that one. Trevor absolutely helps me out, but you can always communicate with us through those links and through those channels. Send us a DM if you want, if you have questions on videos, whatever it may be. You can contact myself or Trevor to schedule a remote coaching consultation. Remember, that's at no cost to you. This is a service that we provide to you just for being an employee and just hanging out with us. But it's a great way to kind of, get some time in with one of us, and maybe we can help point you in the right direction, especially if you're dealing with something stressful in your life. Make sure you contact Trevor to schedule a virtual or on-site stretch break or a trivia and toe touches. This is like the big thing. Trevor loves doing the trivia and toe touches. I love the trivia and toe touches. I think it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do so. And remember, you can request these things for you and your teams. And then lastly, I can do a virtual stretch break for you guys. I'd love to do it. I've done it plenty of times before. And by the way, stretch break is get up, stand, move around a little bit. It's not a crazy workout, but it's something that I definitely think if you haven't done before, you should definitely try and incorporate and see what it does for you in regards to dealing with some of those stressors that you might have maybe at work. Lastly, we have another mindset webinar series. This will be with Trevor, as I've mentioned before. This one is going to be on goal setting. So obviously we've been through already the behavior change and fixed versus growth mindset. I believe there's a way that we can access that one as well. If you have any questions on how to access that, please let us know. Today, obviously stress management and healthcare, but goal setting, huge. I'm going to be there. Blake's going to be there. You're going to be there. We should all be there. Remember, 11:29. That's going to be at 11 a.m. You'll earn ShareCare points for attending at least 2 webinars. And remember, you can use the link right here, or excuse me, the QR code to register. So let's open up the floor now to any questions, comments, or concerns. And I'm just going to go back through this chat because I wasn't able to read everything, and I want to go ahead and check some of this stuff out. But feel free to come off mute if you guys would like. Kids and their health, absolutely. And free lunch in the cafe. That's right. That's what we love. Okay. Dr. Bronner's as well. Okay, well, if that's everything, I believe we are done. If nobody has any questions, we are done for the day. I want to say thank you guys so much for coming out. We are here to help, so contact us anytime. Remember, these are going to be our emails right here, and we have those plastered everywhere. So if you ever have a hard time finding us, remember, you can contact Blake as well. But that will be it for today. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And I'm sticking around, so if you guys want to hang out, if you have